What makes a good twist? No, not that one. No, not that one either. I mean, what makes a good twist in storytelling? How do you tell a story that's supposed to have some sort of plot or narrative twist that the audience already knows is gonna happen? Simple. You can't. Not because it's impossible, it's more due to the fact that it's just illogical. Why tell a story with a plot twist if the audience already knows that that plot twist is gonna happen? A plot twist in and of itself is an element that is supposed to challenge the audience's perception of what is going on with the story as a whole. We typically don't like seeing or reading or watching stories that we have either seen or that we already know what is going to happen. Why view them at all if that's the case? On October 22, 2013, a game was kickstarted by the independent gaming developer Infinite Falls and was produced by Finjico, successfully receiving 400% of its original goal of $50,000, with fans delivering $200,000 by the end of the campaign. Little over 3 years in development, and the game Night in the Woods was released on February 21, 2017, and was met with immense praise that was garnered by an incredible fan base as well as a following that doesn't have any intent of going away anytime soon. The juxtaposition of side-scrolling gameplay mixed in with the visual design of a paper-cutout storybook is both visually appealing as well as crucial on the means of keeping the story and the heart of Night in the Woods solid and sturdy from start to finish. With most giant title games, visual design and graphical intensity is something that seems to take up a grand majority of the development cycle. So much that it would seem that games that have a supreme level of graphical intensity tend to lack crucial elements in the realm of storytelling. Night in the Woods is an example of what storytelling in gaming is capable of achieving if the right amount of effort is placed into the plot that is presented to the gamer. Well, what do I mean? Well, let's find out by taking a look at the story of Night in the Woods. The player follows May Borowski, a 20-year-old college dropout who finds herself back in her hometown of Possum Springs, a town under extreme economic distress due to the fall of coal mining over the years. She meets up with her old friend Greg, his boyfriend Angus, and her longtime acquaintance Bee as the four of them go about their normal lives as much as they possibly can. From talking to her family, conversing with numerous neighbors up and down her street, attending band practice, traveling all over town to see how much of the town has changed, or just hanging out with their friends. We, as the players, are witnessing the lifestyles of the poor and the nobodies of this old-time coal town. Things start to become crazy when there are strange instances happening all over Possum Springs. The main characters find a severed arm outside of the diner at the end of the street. Missing persons reports are growing, suspected kidnappings throughout town. The nighttime becomes more and more dangerous as fall descends onto Possum Springs, and to make matters even stranger, something, or someone, is watching everything from the woods. A level of intrigue was piqued with me on this one. Personally, I likened it to the fact that Night in the Woods was dropped the day before my birthday, and I got some Steam store credits for said birthday, and I was searching for new games that had just come out, and Night in the Woods was at the top of the list. I took one look at the description and all of its glory, and then saw the story-rich tag on the Steam page, and I was sold. Lo and behold, I received an adventure I wasn't entirely expecting, and have not been able to stop thinking about ever since I completed the game for the very first time, prompting many other playthroughs, both independently on my own, as well as several groups of people so that they could experience it as well. I found a game that managed to tell a story in such a particular way that blew my mind on several feats. First, the writing for this game is so spot on that it deserves an award of its own. The amount of dialogue is so connectable, relatable, and just as hysterical that it's one of the best things about this game. The sheer amount of interactions that exist here are astonishing. Even the little one-off conversations that most people wouldn't even think to program even into this game or give it the time and effort. May has several conversations with inanimate objects all over town, and even those are great because they deliver not only character study for who we're following, but create creative exposition to both May, the people of Possum Springs, as well as about the town itself. The best part about these interactions is that none of them are forced onto the player. They are little interactions that the player finds by exploring high and low on the streets of the town. Some are out in the open, while others are carefully hidden away and are only found by the most agile of climbers and seekers. Another point of Night in the Woods comes from the sheer amount of exploration that this game presents to you from start to finish. Just like with the interactions, it's completely optional. If you want to find all the information about Possum Springs, find every room that's capable of being explored, talk to every single person found throughout the town, you are more than welcome to do so. Similarly, you're also more than welcome to not do any of those things, and rather just stick to the story and see where it takes you. That's what this game does so well, is the just sheer scale of the city that you're walking around in, but also handing you the keys to this adventure that you're going through. And it's completely up to you how long this game really takes. But what about the story, I hear you asking? It's the whole point of this particular series that I've been putting on, and it's all about talking about storytelling within a certain medium. And in this video's case, it's about the storytelling of video gaming. I can't lie to you, Night in the Woods has a very good reason why I can't shut up about it. The story in this game is incredible from start to finish. It starts by making you think certain things are going to happen in a very particular way, only to have those expectations challenged as time goes on, only to have those expectations thrown out the window when the reality of the events that are going on in Possum Springs are finally revealed. My head was constantly spinning from the first time I played through this game, and it was in the best possible way. How many times I caught myself gasping when I read a line of dialogue in complete silence by myself is numerous. To have these characters break and reveal their long, and in some cases, twisted backstory that happened in the 2 years that May had been gone at college. You get a sense of understanding what these characters are going through because, as they are, they're just so connectable. Everyone knows a Greg or an Angus or a Bee in their life. Heck, I went out of my way to play this game with a group of friends who I consider to be identical to the characters found in the game. And the best part was, these friends even agreed with me in my character analysis. How many times we played this game and then have someone in the room read a line of dialogue and you'd hear a voice just whisper, "Oh my god, same," or "Holy sh*, this just got too real." The plot and narrative of Night in the Woods is something I can't personally talk about, nor do I really want to, not only because I have way too much respect for this game, because I really don't want to spoil what this game can do for a player. Apart from the general setup of what one would read on a game description on Steam or on its website, I don't want to ruin the experiences as they'd happen, because there are a range of emotions that happen when any one person plays Night in the Woods, whether it be independently or even with a group of your closest friends. The only thing I can really say is that there's a hint of Lovecraft in the story and its elements, how the writers Bethany Hockenberry and Scott Benson managed to bring this level of unknown that makes you question everything that May, and I guess in some ways you, the player, have witnessed this whole time. It challenges your ability to read into the details that you have been presented since the start of this game. The shock value that happens, that's not a part of it. It's the realization that the rug was going to be pulled out from underneath you was there this whole time, and you, as a part of the audience, just never knew it was going to happen. There have been a few games over the last couple of years recently that have actually managed to pull this off rather well, most of them being found in the visual novel genre, such as Hatoful Boyfriend and Doki Doki Literature Club. If you know what those games are, and you really have played through them all the way, you know what I'm talking about. The fantasy element of Night in the Woods actually follows a very particular structure that is found in the realms of fantasy writing, known as low fantasy or intrusion fantasy, which is, well, intrusion fantasy has less emphasis on the elements associated with traditional fantasy, instead having the narrative in a realistic environment with elements of fantasy thrown in small doses. Sure, then the world of Night in the Woods does take place in an anthropomorphic world, but the characters and the inhabitants are more human than they seem to be. You're looking at characters that, if they were swapped out with human beings, you'd have the exact same story. Sometimes there's just enough fantasy that blurs the line between what is natural and supernatural. The characters of Possum Springs all live perfectly normal lives. Nothing about them seems extraordinary by comparison to what you'd see in our world. How Night in the Woods incorporates a level of fantasy still manages to challenge the players on what exactly is going on in this backwood coal town way out in the middle of nowhere, and how much of what is going on is reality. For me, the best part about Night in the Woods was the summation of all of its parts and how they revolved around the story that was being told. The visual design was intentional to allow the story to stand out so much more than any passing audience would have realized. The music of this game is not only there to invoke a sense of nostalgia for a home that you would return to, as well as set the mood, tone, and atmosphere whenever proper feeling was needed to be called upon. As a personal recommendation, I can only suggest that if you care as much about storytelling as much as I do, I encourage you to sit down and play and truly enjoy Night in the Woods. The level of storytelling and crafting is second to none. The characters are all lovable in their own ways, the art style is entrancing, and by playing it yourself, or even with a group of friends, maybe you too will find out what exactly is watching you from the woods. Well, there you go. This was my particular episode on a game I really cannot shut up about, Night in the Woods. This was one of those games that really did kind of come out of nowhere for me, and to be honest with you, I can just talk about this game forever, both in a story writing sense as well as just a game sense overall. If you are interested in watching somebody play through the game completely blind and want to see what it's like for somebody such as myself to be watching other people play this game, I recommend that you head on over to my friend's Twitch page. It's Kristjan K. I'll have it linked right on the screen as well as down in the description below. He is enjoying himself and I'm enjoying watching him see all the twists and turns the Night in the Woods has to bring to this. Yeah, Night in the Woods was an episode I wasn't actually planning on getting done this soon. I actually was working on an episode dedicated to Netflix's Death Note, which will be coming out next, but every time I tried doing stuff with downloading content from that movie, it always came out as garbage quality, so imagine that. But apart from that, I really didn't want to talk about the story too much in here, just because I didn't want to spoil anything. I didn't want people to watch this video and accidentally see something that they shouldn't have seen before they played this game in its entirety. I seriously do recommend that if you want to give this game a shot, I recommend that you play it either on your own or play it with a group of friends, or heck, you can even watch certain YouTubers play their version of Night in the Woods. There are several really big names out there who have done coverage of Night in the Woods, but all in all, this is one of those games that I'm going to be coming back to pretty consistently over the years, and yeah. With all that being said, thank you very much for watching. My name is EPZ379. You can find me everywhere online at that username, and I'll see you for the next operation.
Hmm.